Now, in what appears to be a terror attack, 15 trucks carting foodstuff from Niger to Ghana have been burnt at the Burkina Faso border. The driver of the lead vehicle is responding to treatment after being shot in the attack. Before now, several drivers have died in similar attacks, with over 10 Ghanaian trucks being burnt. Nana Yaojima of our foreign desk has more in the following report.
The Doli route into Burkina Faso from Niger has been abandoned by long-distance trucks following heightened activities of terrorists in the area. Videos available to Joy News show many trucks burnt at the border by terrorists earlier this year.
In Burkina, at first we was passing there, and there was a Boko Haram over there. They burned our cars, so many, about 15 cars with onions. And we diverted to Benin.
Niger supplies Ghana with onions, beans, potash, cowhide, and local tea, popularly known as attire. Following the closure of the Benin border as a result of the ECOWAS sanctions against Niger, some drivers have had to consider other options. The Dambala enterprise owns 35 trucks, which have often been involved in carting food from Niger. For many days, some of the trucks have locked up in Niger. According to Masaudu Dambala, one of their vehicles opted for the Doli route, which is less preferred due to security concerns. The trucks broke security protocols after their inability to secure military escort to cross the border for many days.
They were standing there waiting for combine escort, yeah. So they were waiting for it, and then the escort is not coming. So one of the cars, that one is not our car, decided to follow the road. So when he succeeded, so the rest they say, okay, they too will try their best and see. So immediately they start going there. Those jihadist people come out, try to stop them, they refused, not knowing that there are plenty people there. So they started to start to shoot them. So they stopped, some of them stopped, and some of them go back. And even some drivers leave the cars and run away. So our car is in front. So when they reach there, they burn the car. The car take like 450 bags of beans. So they burn the car. And then the case is they shoot the driver, but now the driver is alive. So they burn the car, and then they burn like 3 or 4 cars. So the rest turn back and go to Niger.
So where's the driver now, and what's his condition?
Yeah, he's in Niger, but the condition is somehow better. So he's in Niger now.
One of the 3 affected trucks was carting onions bound for the Kwadaso market in Kumasi. All 330 onions in the affected trucks have rotten away after the vehicle was burnt. Masaudu Mazu counts his loss. The leading truck was transporting beans, and the next one was transporting my onions. Those were the first to be attacked. They called me later to break the news to me. I couldn't ask them any further questions. Presently, the transport and import company, Dambala Enterprise, has closed operations to Niger. 15 of their trucks are locked up in the landlocked Niger. Masaudu Dambala is worried about the situation.
If you go to harbor, anything concerning Niger, you cannot take it. So it's only Burkina that you can cross. I can tell you that this is the amount that I'm losing. I can't tell. But if I tell you that this, I will lose this, no, I can't tell. The only thing is that I see that the business is rounding down.
Many food importers in Kumasi stand the chance of losing their investments if the situation continues. For Joy News, Nana Yaojima reporting.
Well, let's get more on this from security analyst Dr. Adam Bona, who's joining us via Zoom. Now, Doc, I'm grateful that you could join us this afternoon. First of all, does this qualify as a terror attack?
Well, yes. Good afternoon. Yes, it does. It qualifies as a, and it's been going on for a while. Is this burning of trucks by jihadists within the call it the Burkina enclave is very rampant. And so this is not the first time I'm hearing this. I have lots of, videos that sometimes some of the videos you can see 15 trucks bent on a stretch carrying items coming into this country. And so it's quite worrying, coupled with the fact that you now have this situation that we are dealing with in Niger. So obviously, and you want to take it from from a position of economic and security. If the onions and the other food items, products that are supposed to be imported into neighboring countries cannot cross, and you have the jihadists have become emboldened because 80% of Burkina Faso is literally in the hands of jihadists. So just imagine that Ghana, then it is only Accra that is in the hands of the executives or the executive. But the other regions, out of the 16, it's only Accra that you can say is in the hands of the executive. But the other 15 regions are in the hands of terrorists. That is the situation in Burkina Faso. And I think that should have been more of a concern to the sub-regional leaders. But unfortunately, that has not been their concern. Rather, they want to go in there and remove and return, Niger to civilian rule when we have Burkina Faso, Mali, and neighboring countries under attack from jihadists. I think it should be a source of concern for us.
Well, I'll come back to that. But you mentioned that 15 regions have fallen to the jihadists. Which are these 15?
No, what I'm saying is that I use Ghana as an illustration. What I'm saying is that, take for instance, Ghana. We have 16 regions in Ghana.
Yeah.
Then the executive is only found in Accra, one region. As an illustration to say, Burkina Faso, 80% of, according to UN report and AU and ECOWAS report, 80% of Burkina Faso is in the hands of jihadists or terrorists in Burkina Faso, which should be a worry to the sub-regional leaders. And so that is how severe or serious the situation is in especially Burkina Faso and some of these neighboring countries.
But if that's the case, and again, the 20% that is left is in the hands of the military that took over, why is the military not able to win this war?
Well, the military is not able to win this war because the terrorists have literally surrounded them. The terrorists have literally, if you can ask indigents of border towns that, where Burkina Faso borders are, you can talk about the Sisala area, you can talk about the Hamile area. You can talk about Boku. Sometimes I was in Burkina Faso, crossed from Hamile to Burkina Faso about 2 months ago. And as you get there, they will tell you that where they are, sometimes you can literally see terrorists in one area. You are in the part of Ghana, and indigenous terrorists on the other side. And what has made it worse is that you have the military regime in Burkina Faso has armed civilians. They've given weapons to civilians to fight off the jihadists. And some of these civilians themselves have become terrorists. And so it is worrying for the rest of us in Ghana and probably neighboring countries, because then when the terrorists come to where these civilians are who have been armed, they cross as refugees who have entered Ghana, they drop their weapons and they cross into the side of Ghana. This is how worrying the situation is. And so as far as I'm concerned, the military regime in these countries have not been able to, alone fight terrorists. Okay. And so it is probably incumbent on ECOWAS to see how the issue of terrorism that we have in the entire sub-region, call it Nigeria to Mali to, Niger to, you can name them. Terrorists, where have they not bombed, except probably Ghana? And so this is how bad it is. And sometimes when I crossed with my team to the from Hamile into the side of Burkina, I spoke to officers within the Ghana area and spoke to officers within the Burkina area, and they were very apprehensive because then they said this is a place that we shouldn't be. I spoke to them, and they told us that because sometimes the terrorists come very close to them, and they shoot at them. And sometimes when we spoke to people around the Hamley area, including officers, what they said was that there are times you are watching on the side of the Burkina border, and you see terrorists literally killing people on the side of the Burkina border. Wow. But you are a military officer, or you are an immigration officer, or a police officer within Ghana. The law does not mandate you to cross into Burkina to help them fight off the jihadist movement. And this is how close this whole thing is. Not that I was there myself, spoke to, the indigents of the Hamili area, spoke to officers, the military, the immigration, and the police who are around the area, spoke to them, crossed to the other side of Burkina, and spoke to them. And they seem to be singing the same hymn. They want resources, they want collaboration, because they said that there are times when they come under attack, they have to run. And their counterpart in Ghana, they wish they could come and support them. But the Ghanaians cannot come, obviously, because once you enter, you need a certain permission or declaration to enter and go and fight this jihadist movement in that enclave. And so This is how serious the situation is. If we are not very careful, we are going to have food prices, skyrocketing. It's going to go up, and it will be difficult if we are not careful. That alone is another human security challenge, because when people are hungry, thinking becomes another thing. So we've got to tread cautiously.
But what could be the reason behind the banning of these trucks?
Well, the reason behind the ban, you should know some of these people are ideologists. For instance, they banned these vehicles, and it's now news. We are discussing it. So they target areas that it will make them a bit popular. And apart from that, they hit where the people will begin to revolt. Because you see, one of the things they do is to strike and make sure they leave a lot of unimaginable, what do we call it, things in your head. You begin to be fearful of your life. You begin to feel they are coming. And usually when they come, they tell you, you've got to do A, B, C, D. They use intimidatory tactics. They would want that you would have to obey them. And so they are taking advantage of the fact that these areas have been left in their hands. And then they are doing what they are doing. Some of them are criminals. And so as they shoot and drivers run away, they cut as many as they can, the goods in this vehicle, and sell them. So you have them actually trading. Sometimes they will steal as much as they can and cross, sometimes in bikes and in tricycles, into some of the border areas to come and sell. I'm sure you know that cattle or animals from the side of Burkina Faso, they've killed people in the side of Burkina Faso, and a report that I recently intercepted and these animals found their way into some parts of the Upper East region, because the owners of these animals were killed on the side of Burkina Faso, and they shepherded them across the border into Ghana. And once they sell them, they go back with the money to go and finance their act of terrorism and criminality. So they have divergent reasons. They have different reasons for doing this, depending on, for instance, this banning of vehicles and killing of people on that stretch. It didn't start today. I mean, if if I can forward to you a lot of videos where you can see vehicles on end. You know, you won't see uncountable number of trucks that they've destroyed. So it's just not this one we are talking about. Maybe because of the situation in Niger, maybe we are beginning to pay attention. But some of us who work within the sector will tell you that this is no news. It is something that has been happening almost all the time.
Okay. But from the way you paint the picture, it's gloomy, you know, and therefore something has to be done. For example, if someone is killing another person in Burkina Faso, when I see it in Ghana and I cannot intervene, that is something that we have to work around. So how do we as a sub-region approach this issue such that it won't escalate and even, you know, get into a country like Ghana?
Well, I think that by now we should have had a certain arrangement. You know, we have the Accra Initiative. The Accra Initiative involves some countries, including Burkina, and, you know, some countries. And so the areas that we have this issue with terrorism, serious, you know, terrorists, you know, terror issues, we should have had some arrangement, or the ECOWAS bloc should have had some arrangement where those who man these borders would have the clearance to be able to cross into any. So you would have the ability to cross Burkina, and depending on, you know, which mile radius you are supposed, maybe you can't go beyond, let's say, 1,000 kilometers away from the Ghana border. But anything between 1 to 1,000 kilometers, if something is going on and you are part of that ECOWAS arrangement as a security officer, you should be able to go in there and help the indigents there. If you have, let's say, a Burkina soldier who is on the other side and something is happening and it has to do with terrorism, I mean, so that it is well defined, they are able to come. But at the moment, there is no such arrangement. And so when I was going into the Burkina area, for instance, I had an escort. I had a police officer who I requested to provide me escort. But when we got to the border, they said the police officer cannot cross. So I left my escort at the side of Ghana and entered. That was risky, but I left my escort because if my escort had gone with me, probably he would have been detained. But if there is an arrangement where they are trained to perform a certain dual function, if you are here, you can cross and help and do. But ECOWAS is not thinking like that. ECOWAS probably is not looking at that and seeing how countries can support one another to fight terrorism, because they come sometimes 10 kilometers, 5 kilometers, 4 kilometers to the side of Ghana, sometimes even a kilometer to that close, a kilometer away from Ghana border, or less than a kilometer away from Ghana border. But you see, the Ghanaian soldiers, the immigration officers, the police officers, they don't have the permit to go in there and do anything. And so it is an arrangement that ECOWAS should have been dealing with, because then, if you say because the military have taken over in Burkina Faso, chances are that the spillover effect will have it. And we've heard about recently. I think one of the ministers actually came out to say some terrorists, some terrorists crossed into our territory, and they arrested them, and I'm told they took them back out. They took them into the Burkina side, and you have the Burkina civilians have been armed. So if you are arming civilians, like many years ago, Al-Qaeda and some of these guys were armed. Eventually, they turned the guns against those who armed them when they didn't have any job again for them to do. And so mine is that the Burkina government or the military leaders over there are overwhelmed. They are simply overwhelmed. And so they are now procuring weapons and, dashing them to civilians. And so it tells you that the people who are crossing into this country itself, if we are not very careful, we are going to have people who have learned to shoot, who have learned to handle sophisticated weapons, and they could turn against us. So I think there should be some arrangement amongst us as sub-regional, country members to see how can we help. So if they come very close to our border, killing people, and you can see it, sometimes they will tell you that when they kill some of their people, the corpses lie there for days before the Burkina government will come and pick them away, unfortunately. Those who are having lunch, my apologies. But yes, I hear they will be there, and you will see what's the name of that vultures coming down, and literally, but you can't do anything because you cannot cross. If you are a soldier or you are even a paramedic, you can't cross. So when it's happening, most of them run into the side of Ghana. But who is coming? We don't even know, because some of these people have been given weapons. They drop their weapons. And so the jihadists are now attacking more because they believe that civilians have been given weapons. So if we can surround them and we kill some, we can actually pick up their weapons and use it to fight the military leaders in Burkina and the other sub-region, the other neighboring countries.
It tells that there's more that ECOWAS has to do. I'm grateful to you, Dr. Bona, for joining us this afternoon. Dr. Adam Bona is a security analyst there, now still staying with security. The Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Isa Adam Yakubu, has trumpeted the role of the Ghana Navy in combating attacks and kidnappings in the Gulf of Guinea. Speaking during a media interaction ahead of the 2023 International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference scheduled to take place from the 29th to 30th August, he said in the year 2020, not less than 11 sailors were kidnapped with ransom paid before their release. He says Ghana has not recorded any in 2023, but rather the country's neighbors are beginning to see a resurgence in attacks.
2021, we had Ghana alone had not less than 6 attacks, particularly on our vulnerable tuna vessels. And not less than 11 of our sailors were kidnapped and taken to other places. And they were only rescued after they had paid a ransom. I think this was in 2020. 2021, 2022, we did not experience any such attacks or kidnapping, as he said. 2023, we have seen some resurgence, not in our country, but in some neighboring countries. A few attacks have occurred. And that is why this conference has come very, very timely. But when those things occurred, as he said, they just didn't stop because the people didn't want to come again. We had to put strategies in place. And some of those strategies were developed during some of these conferences, and then the collaboration that we had with all the countries that are coming for the International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference. We've been told a number of partners from across the world. And we've had not less than 27, and they are still, even as at last night, countries were still confirming their participation. So you bring a large gathering of maritime practitioners. And because the sea is a maritime common, that is, you don't have physical borders at sea. So we don't go out there and say, Ghana, this is our space, so we are only interested in that. The transnational organized criminals, they come from different parts of neighboring countries, come and commit their offenses, and then they go back to where they are coming from. So we have to work together with our neighbors. And within the country, they listed a number of agencies that have some 1 or 2 time issues. And now we want an integrated one. So everybody is in his ministry, department, or agency trying to play his role. But we didn't have that serious coordinating mechanism. So this National Integrated Maritime Strategy provides that mechanism for coordination and working together and having a very good governance structure. And we believe that when we do that, as I said, the vision is that by 2030, the GDP growth of that the maritime domain contributes should double. Whatever the figure is now, we want to see doubled by the year 2030. So the specific figures, as he said, will be given to you. But for the last 2 years, we haven't experienced, particularly the kidnapping, attacking with arms on ships, and kidnapping of sailors has not happened in the last 2 years. So that is an achievement, and there are strategies we have put in place to achieve that.
Now, Ghana will be launching its National Integrated Maritime Strategy next week at the 2023 International Maritime Defense Exhibition and Conference. It is expected to provide a common policy, approach, and coordinate efforts by state institutions to deal with maritime threats and also maximize Ghana's blue economy. Rosevera Nsia has been providing details.
Objectives, the strategic objectives developed in this document. We have 6 strategic objectives that is going to help implement the document. One is, the first one, strategic objective 1 is strengthen the framework for maritime governance. When you talk about framework for maritime governance, we have several laws, but we don't have specific laws, for instance, when it comes to piracy. So this document is going, we are partnering with the Attorney General Department. They are also part of the technical working group to ensure that Ghana has existing laws. All the frameworks, those that are being implemented by GMA, the Navy, we will all combine them together and have one policy framework so that our laws will be punitive enough to ensure that we have sanity in the maritime sector. So it will ensure safety and security in the maritime domain, ensure we will develop a thriving blue economy, that is our core point. Protect the marine and coastal environment, protect capacity building and research. We also develop dynamic and diversified regional and international cooperation. These are the strategic objectives of the NIMS. These strategic objectives are backed by priority actions. They are not just objectives, but then we have actions assigned to each of the objectives to ensure its implementation. Our vision for the NIMS. We envisage that by 2030, Ghana's maritime space will be the safest. In fact, we don't want to come after any other country. We want Ghana's space, maritime space, to be the safest by 2030. That is the vision of the NIMS, so that we can be able to have a sustainable blue economy developed and maintained for national economic growth. It will also create social benefits, not just about tourism or fishing. The Gulf of Guinea has...
Well, on your election headquarters, we're focusing on the NPP Special Delegate Congress coming up. Let's bring you a report on the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is optimistic of securing overwhelming vote in return for his loyalty, dedication, and sacrifices for the NPP. We'll bring you details of these and more, plus interactions with persons very high in the party here on the show, delving into the various camps and finding out what they do make of what's coming up on Saturday. Stay with us. We'll bring you more after this. Welcome back from the break. Let's begin from the camp of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, because he is optimistic of winning the impending, securing overwhelming vote in return for his loyalty, dedication, and sacrifices for the NPP. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is touting his dedication and allegiance to the NPP, positioning himself as a suitable choice to lead the party into the 2024 general elections. He pledges to carve a distinct path towards economic prosperity, if chosen as the NPP's leader. With the party's Super Delegate Congress just 3 days away, Samuel Imbra from our political desk sheds light on his candidacy.
He is an economist with experience at the central bank. He transitioned into politics and was the first to introduce a data-driven narrative in Ghana's political landscape, gaining trust among Ghanaians. His prominence peaked during the 2012 election petition.
Let us put down my analysis and show me one repeated polling station in my analysis. If you are afraid of the truth, then of course you will hide behind these exhibit numbers.
His father, Mumuni Bawumia, co-founded the Northern People's Party, with SD Dombo contributing to the birth of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, sparking arguments for the Dombo faction to lead the NPP, given the historical representation of Dankwa and Buzia.
They will be in trouble. They know we will break the gates. They know John Mahama cannot take me on in the north. I will beat him in the north. I will beat him in the north.
However, some contend that politics transcends tribal lines and prioritizes competence. His role in reducing the MPP's parliamentary deficit from over 80% to under 60% in the northern regions since 2008 is highlighted, making him a strong contender against NDC's John Mahama after the 2020 elections. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's candidacy garners extensive nationwide endorsements from both within and outside the MPP. Notably, Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Dan Botry, is among MPP stalwarts supporting him.
Based on my knowledge and experiences in the party, I have come to conclude that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the right person who holds the future of this party. So please, I will urge all of you to come out together to vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is passionately underlining his dedication to the MPP, emphasizing he has never abandoned his responsibility.
I have sacrificed for the party. I have defended the party in good times and in challenging times. I have never wavered or slacked. Never.
He therefore assures that if elected, he will lead the country towards economic prosperity.
Together with you, I want to see a Ghana with an education system tilted towards STEM, robotics, artificial intelligence, digital and vocational skills to cope with the demands of the fourth industrial revolution.
Though several surveys predict a landslide victory for him, the Superdelegates Congress will be the litmus paper to test how strong his signal is to lead the MPP. For Joy News, Samuel Mbura.
Let's come in studio now and speak to a stalwart of the party, Mr. Ayikwe Otu, a former Attorney General during the Coup regime and just recently Ghana's former ambassador to Canada. Good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, we're just about some few days to the Special Delegates Congress. How's the camp shaping up?
Well, following our tradition, we know where we are going. And I talk we are talking Alan.
Alan, yes.
You know, he's been in this fight for some time. And the tradition which we believe will work, that the delegates would reward loyalty. This is someone who was not right, but those who actually got involved in getting the party shaped, you know, and finding money through various means to help, you know, pay bills and to get the party on its feet, you know. So I know we may have time to talk more. But
if you say was not brought from outside, what do you mean?
Well, those who know the tradition will tell you that some were brought in, while others started in the 1992 thereabouts when the Damkwa Buzia Club started and all that, you know. So they were those who actually started. Others were brought in. I mean, clearly, you know, you might know as a pressman.
No, I don't know unless you tell me.
There's no need to go into that, but the point is that there are two classes of members, those who started. So you find that on Saturday we'll have what we call foundation members.
Okay.
For example, those who actually appended their signatures to the documents at the time we're going to file the party papers at the EC.
Yeah.
Foundation members. Then you have founding members, you know. And then you register and it's open and others can join, you know. So we're talking about one who actually was right from the beginning. Of course, you needed people from various regions to show that it's a national party, in which case we cannot get everybody from one region signing those who actually started. But some would you find their names there. But the clear, you heard the report, a banker later on became a politician. So you know the history, so you can make.
But what does it? I mean, doesn't matter when someone joined the party.
That's why I'm saying that there is a tradition, and we're trying to follow the tradition, and we believe, that while in politics we're trying to, if you like in campaigning, you're trying to change people's minds to let them look your way. So whatever you say, there will be the other side of the coin that somebody will ask, like you're asking, what does it? But if you are following the tradition that we had Professor Dubois, and was seriously challenged by Kufuor. And then when he left, it was Kufuor who came in. Nana Akufo-Addo seriously challenged him, Kufuor. At the end of the day, Nana comes in, and then for the time past, it is Alan who has been there constantly, always in the second position, which is taken now. That look, I am the man, I'm the next man, look my way. So it tells you that if the tradition is followed, surely it should go his way.
But is it about tradition, or you're looking for someone who will win you the election?
That's the critical part of the whole game. You don't go into politics without, or in an election without a message. Especially when we do 4 years and 4 years, for which reason we are talking about breaking the 8. So what would be the message that you take there? What would be the face that would be there for you? Okay? So if you find that it will be difficult to put a particular face there, because there will be difficulty in looking at the message, then you might want to do something else. And it's important. It's important. It is not a laughing matter that, look, this man has served you for 8 years, so why do you have to change it? You ask yourself, what will be his message in 2024? How has things shaped up? It might have been the best not to compare and to talk, because you are doing primaries, which is internal, but eventually you go and meet your NDC at the other side, and therefore things that you may say might be seen as giving ammunition
to them
to use against you. But whatever happens, you need to go through these primaries first.
Okay.
And it's important that you look at the issues, ask yourself whether what you are saying now, if you continue with it, it will stand you in any good stead, or there's the need for a change.
Okay.
So those of us who are calling for Alan, we are saying that, no, we need a new face and we need a new message.
Okay. Why do you think that if you maintain, for example, the second in command now, Dr. Bawumia, the message will be problematic?
That is what I put to you, that you see, you may want to look at all the variables of what has taken place for the past 7 years or so, and to ask yourself whether, people are, if you like, comfortable.
Okay.
The conditions that we find ourselves. We are all Ghanaians. I mean, maybe some maybe enjoy better than others, I don't know. But generally, we know what the conditions are. The economic situations, the inflations, the whatever, the IMF, World Bank, these, So you ask yourself, if the message is what we have already heard and seen, are we going to continue with that? And would people want to buy into that message? That's a difficulty. But some of us begin to or we look at.
But if that's the case, then of course those who are part of this government, don't also have a chance then because they are all part of the government.
Yeah.
Alan, Dr. Kwadwo Afriyie, Dr. Bawumia himself, I think they were the guys who were part of this government.
Yes.
And also partly Joe Gatti was part of the first term. Then they also don't have a message then.
So politics has its own logic. It's not everything that you think is logical that happens in politics. It may have its own language, has its own logic. So you want to find out who is in charge. You see, when things are going well, then you tell the world that, well, I'm in charge. And then when things are difficult, you say, no, I'll play second fiddle. There is no consistency. But if you are not in charge, you are not in charge. So you ask yourself of the lots that you have mentioned, who would you say, has been in charge of most of the things that we have found? People talk about, he has brought about digitalization.
Digitalization, yeah.
That is it. What has that led to?
It hasn't led to anything, yeah?
What has that led to? You are looking at the people, the voters generally, and what they want to look at, and how has the game been played? Has the whip been cracked sufficiently? So you can trust that, if you go this way, you are likely to find solace going forward after 2024.
You made mention of loyalty. Some people will ask that, well, when it comes to loyalty between your preferred candidate, Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen, and Dr. Bawumia, who has been more loyal, is loyalty about the time you joined the party or what you've done for the party over the years?
There's nobody who can deny the fact that Alan has done a lot for the party. The Young Executives Forum, I told you at the beginning, the things that have been done when the party was struggling. This is the man who put together young executives to look for money, to assist the party to stand on its feet. Okay. So he was not just a member, but if you like, at that time, even a savior, getting money, for people to get, that is loyalty. That is loyalty. I mean, if I don't know, just ask yourself, you are a Ghanaian, and I believe that the first gentleman of the land is the president, isn't it? Then you have a vice who will be the second gentleman. So if you find yourself as a second gentleman of the land, what sacrifice are you making? What else? What have you lost? What are you fighting for? You want to be. If anything, everybody wants to be the first gentleman. At the end of it, you can be second gentleman. So if you come in as a second gentleman, straight away, second gentleman, what sacrifice did you make to get there?
Well, someone will refer you to the election petition of 2013 and how this young man, Dr. Bawumia, how he performed for the party. And yes, people refer. And you were in court as well. I remember you now see your real size. I mean, that was being told to your client. I mean, someone will refer you to that. They will refer you to what he's been able to do in the north, especially ever since he came on.
But your name is on the petition. Who do you want to go and talk for you? Your name is there. And Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia, and Jacob Echebilante. Who will go and speak for you? Yes, they could have added other names, and then we'll see whether they would have also gone. So that is not sufficient for me, because his name is there, and it was a group matter. We all got involved. We all looked at the pin sheets, strategized the best way out. Well, his name was there. He had to go. We challenged it. It was a good thing, at least. When we had it again, when Mama went, the parameters had been set. So it was told straight away that this your case we have brought has no merit. And at the end of the day, that's what happened. He started from day one. They told him, you are wasting everybody's time. Because we have gone through that Akufo-Addo thing, and we have found what it is that we should be looking at when we are doing election petitions. So it was good for the country generally, but that is not sacrifices, because you were already brought up to the top. Again, remember that when you come as a candidate and you try for 4 years or whatever, let's say even 2 years, and then you lose, you still are maintained again for another. You still are maintained. How many years do you think he has been there in the front line?
Yeah, from 2008
all the way
to 2012, 2016, 2020. Yeah.
And you are talking about sacrificing. You are not sacrificing. You are there in the upper echelons.
So what is Alan bringing on board which is different from what a Bawumia ticket will bring?
Clearly, I mean, it's a new face that you see on the ballot. He's not been there. He's tried in the primaries severally and he has lost, which is good. After all, many big politicians went through the same thing in America and elsewhere. Many people tried several times, they lost. But it's always a question of time. I mean, look at our present party chairman. You know, he was almost like a serial somebody who always go and contest for the chairmanship. But when the people decided it was time, they gave it to him overwhelmingly. You know, I think he won with the highest number. But that is what the people have decided, that this is his time. You know, this whole idea that the Gama will tell you, ish or no, this is his time. You know, and we are telling you that we see it happening that way. You know, all the
so your message is about it is his time? Is that it?
I really have told you the things he has done already. When we were trying to bring about vehicle assembling plants in this country, you don't realize that it was his time that we got it. Kwame Nkrumah has been talking.
But will you credit that to the president or you credit that to the minister?
Oh no. You see, this is not an ordinary minister. This is a minister who has been into the African, you know, traits and the rest. He's been sponsored there. He's been there before. He's looked at some of these things. He has a clear vision of what he wants, the transformation that he wants this country. And one of them is looking at this vehicle thing. It takes, you know, the effort of many to get something done. But there should be leadership being shown. For example, I, as an ambassador, I'll tell you that I know that some of the vehicles, for example, came from South Africa. You know, some came from South Africa, not necessarily from Germany, to be brought here.
Assembled here.
And some of the ambassadors too gave some assistance to get it done. You know, but that leadership, so many of these things that we find were led by him.
So you don't give credit to the president, but to the minister?
No, I've told you. Politics has its own logic. So for what we are doing, that is the logic. At this stage, what we are doing, that is the logic.
I get you. I get you.
You know, and quite, you know, one district, one factory, and the rest, if you go into the history, how to, you know, I've been at cabinet before, so I know how cabinet policies are brought about. Somebody brings a memo, it will be discussed, if it is good, okay, you give him the go ahead, go and do it. And so if some of these things are mandated from somebody, you know, so that if he had his own way, perhaps he might have done it in a certain way.
Okay.
But if you are serving someone, you have to be careful, you know, as to how you also, you know, push your agenda. So you like Kufuor used to say, you don't have to pick, you know, too early.
Okay.
Don't, you know, so there are things, you know, but then at this time, these are the things that we should begin to be talking about. You know,
okay.
You should have to look at these things which are transformational. One district, one factory, if indeed the evidence is out there that so many of these factories are about, have they not created jobs for people? And
so many too are going through challenges.
Of course. I mean, there are teething problems everywhere. You know, there are teething problems everywhere. You can't just think that once you start, everything goes well. There are some difficulty with, I think, some raw materials. So,
funding as well. Some funding did not go and all of that.
Well, funding necessarily, if you are using the private sector as the engine of growth. You are not. It's not a state thing like maybe Chinese companies or something. But it's a private sector-led thing, and so you can only be assisted. So you should come more from whoever wants to set it up.
All right. So are the delegates buying this message? Because there's a research which says that Dr. Bawumia is leading Alan Chamanting by a leap.
I don't believe that statistics. Even if it's true, I don't believe it at all. See, you look at every election has its own dynamics. Okay. Now you have a situation where you've seen those who are going to vote and the number and where they are drawn from. So it's likely that you can get people whipped into a line to do a certain bidding.
Okay.
It should not convince anybody, assuming he wins even this primaries. What are we doing? Generally to select 5 people. How many of the polling station executives are going to get involved? Only the chairpersons. And yet we have 5 for each, polling station. So if only the chairpersons decide, do you know where the 4 are going to go? And in terms of numbers in November, we're talking about 900 and something voting. How can these 900 represent the entire thousands of people who will now will find in November? So realizing that it could be a problem, somebody is saying that, if you win the super delegates, it's likely that you win again. It doesn't follow at all. In terms of the numbers, it doesn't follow. A lot of you saw the new thinking that was brought into it to prevent people from taking pictures when they are voting, to go and show to others. They attempt to make sure that we all come to one place so we all see what is happening, serializing the ballot numbers so you know who voted for this, and intimidation and the rest, So a lot of things will go into this. But let's finish our first 5.
Okay.
And then concentrate on November.
Okay.
And there's
you
no
win
way
it.
We're going to.
So you feel there's some intimidation tactics being played?
A whole lot is going on. People are afraid, I mean, earlier on we were told that almost all the parliamentarians are supporting him. Now, 3 days to time, how many have you seen come out to speak? Ask yourself. You just showed some people. How many have come out? They are all there. It is time for people to say, I'm supporting this or I'm supporting that. But you don't hear it anymore. Like we were told earlier on that almost everybody in parliament says it is Bawumia. Now we have heard about 3 or 4 people from parliament who are speaking. So that and the vote too now is secured. If you are not going to take any pictures, it means nobody will know where you voted.
Okay. Now you served with him as vice president and you were an ambassador. But with this, you don't believe in his leadership, huh?
No, I won't say that. I won't say that. No, not at all. I've told you, politics has its own logic. At the time, things were good, if you like. Things worked well. He came to Canada. I organized a trade mission. He led it and all that. He's been a very good friend of mine. But you ask yourself, from the time, you are the media people, from the time the rating agencies started downgrading Ghana's economy, what has happened to us? What has happened to us? Do you understand? When they started downgrading, does it mean that it was a bubble, something that was waiting to explode or something? And then thereafter, it's not been well for all of us.
So he won't be a good choice. He won't be a good choice for the party.
Well, he's done his part. I think he can bow out honorably. We'll always remember him for whatever he did, including digitalization. But to proceed beyond 2024, we don't think it's right. I just don't think it's right. He's done his part. Yes, I will. He's my friend. I mean, and I was here the other time. I made that point. He's still young. He has time on his side. Allah is about 67, 68. He is young. He still has time. He's not yet 60. Just like Kufuor told Nana, you young man, when I finish my term, you come. And Nana told him also that you give me a run for my money, and when I leave, you come after me. So that is it. He has time. I will not say that he has no leadership quality. Okay. No. It would be wrong to do that. But I'm saying for now, in terms of our politics, if we do not need, it would not have any message for 2024. Therefore, it's better to bow out. When the applause is loud, if you like, if there's any applause, let him bow out and let's bring in.
And come back again later. After Alan.
Yes.
That's what you mean?
Maybe, yes.
All right. And that's even a maybe.
Maybe.
That's a maybe.
Well, but if the tradition is followed, it's likely that he will come.
Okay.
But he's the one who's giving. And let me say this before I leave. This thing started to me as a two-horse race of Alan and Bawumia. And then they were delaying going onto the field, so Kennedy came in the field.
Yeah.
And then with his early start and the things he was doing, was able to make inroads. And so the thing now becomes a three-horse race.
Yeah.
In my view, these three, they carry most of the votes as against
the others.
The others that I think they should try and throw their weight. It's not yet too late.
Okay.
Throw their weight. But Alan is the man, and the message is they should not make a mistake to vote for any other person. Go in for Alan. He has everything that it takes. He's a lawyer by profession. He's a businessman.
I mean, the titles are many. Thank you so much for passing through our show. That lawyer Ayikoyo Otu, former ambassador to Canada and Ghana, a former attorney general for during the Kufuor regime. Well, still ahead, Dr. Amuzu from the Dr. Efriye Akoto's camp will also be joining us for a conversation on what that camp also brings to the party. There is more for us to do here on The Pulse. Stay with us. Welcome again. Well, let's now take you to the camp of the former Greek minister, Dr. Efriye Akoto, who says he's the right man to lead the party. In studio with me is Dr. Prince Amuzu, who is from the camp of Dr. Efriye Akoto. Hi, good afternoon, welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your listeners and viewers.
You heard there, Ms. Aikoto says all of you who are struggling should just leave it. It's time for Alan, because if you are following tradition, it is time. Why are you worrying yourselves?
It's okay. Like he says, the politics has its own logic. If you're talking about time, you would have to reference Bafo Akoto, the man that will put the AP tradition together. The one that sat in the chair and brought Dombo, the one that brought SG Anto, and all of those other people. When is his time? His son is Honorable Dr. Efriye Akoto.
But that's his son, time? Not him. Not Bafo Akoto himself, that's his son.
So you are talking about tradition and time.
Okay.
So I'm asking the question, this is rhetoric. When will be his time? You see, so if we go that way, then you'll be missing the point. If you talk about Dr. Efriye Akoto, like he says, when we're beginning Dankwabuzia tradition and the club, Dankwabuzia Club in the UK, when G.H. Mensah was the chairman, Dr. Akoto was the secretary. And he's been there all this while. This is loyalty. That's what loyalty means. It means you have been there and consistently been there. You've not threatened to resign before. You've not walked away from the party before. You stayed in the party and worked for the party. When he was a member of parliament for Kwadaso, 2 terms, he worked so hard when we were in opposition. You saw him everywhere, campaigning for MPP and leading the charge for food and agriculture and coffee affairs as a ranking member of the committee in parliament. So this is the caliber of person we are talking about. You cannot discredit him. You cannot take him away. Indeed, the party people, they know that this is the man that can resolve the challenges of our party, and the Ghanaian people are also waiting for him.
Now, how do they know? Because, I mean, how do they know that he's the right man?
It's because we are engaging the people, and you have a message. If you notice, a lot of people are doing a lot of noisy campaign. And we kept saying Dr. Koto's campaign is a noiseless campaign because he has a message. He is not saying, I'm not a Christian, so vote for me. I am from voter origin, vote for me. That is not the issue. It is my turn, vote for me. It's not the issue. What is your track record? What have we done before? We are all in government. Let everybody put forward one social or public policy that this government put forward, were made to be in charge, and what was your results. This, for us to assess you, to see whether you are able to do something that will give you this bigger job, you'll be able to deliver. That's the type of conversation we are having. And that is why Dr. Koto's campaign, no insults, no attacks. We are focusing on the issues and the problems of the party and the problem of the Ghanaian people. That's what we are solving.
Well, Alan, as the camp says, he led the setting up of assembly plants, 1D, 1F, at least they've mentioned. Dr. Bawumia, they said digitalization and all of that. So they have also mentioned what they've done.
That is okay. It's not for me to judge which one is which. But our message is for us to put forward a strong case for what we have done. And this is why when we go to the constituencies, you see people bringing plantain and stalks of maize and all that. Okay. It is to attest to that they know. We didn't even need to come and say it, but this is politics. You cannot assume. It is our duty as a campaign to go there and explain to them what we have done and what we want to do for the party people. You are aware that since the Fourth Republic, the highest GDP growth rate for a sector, you have the agri sector, you have the industry, and then the services. The highest is 8.4%, 2021. This was achieved by Honorable Dr. Usufri Akoto, the agri sector. This is the highest Ghana has ever had since the Fourth Republic. That is evidence. Look at how productivity have gone up because of the fertilizer issue and the improved seed when they were discounted.
We knew how the challenges that were fraught with all of these things. Fertilizer, there were issues. Seeds, we know the seed suppliers were talking about non-payment. I mean, we have witnessed all of this. Even the poultry industry during their time, during Dr. Akoto's time, and the poultry industry is nowhere to be found. You think the farmers wouldn't bring all of these issues on board and say that, you didn't do enough for us?
The issue about fertilizer smuggling cannot be the agri minister's job. There are other ministers responsible for security. It cannot be his job. You cannot fault him on that. Are you understanding me? So we have to stick to it. This is very high intellectual conversation. And I'm saying that what he was given to do, he has delivered. He was given 2.6 billion Ghana cedis to do planting for food and jobs, improve seeds and fertilizer. What did he get? At Farm Gate, we got 48 billion Ghana cedis. This translates to, if you give a farmer in Ghana 2 cedis, 60 pesos, that farmer can give you 48 Ghana cedis. What does that mean? This is data. It means that he is able, with a little motivation, to pull up productivity. That's why Ghana became the breadbasket of West Africa. When others were complaining about food shortage and you can't even have the food to buy. We had it. Of course, we have a challenge with food inflation and all that kind of thing. And the factors that go into this, we are all aware. It is not that food was not produced in the country. Food was produced. Food is there. Even in the lean season, food is there.
But if you have enough food,
if there were no food, then we would say it didn't perform.
But if you have a lot of food, like you say, then the prices will not go as high as they went. Because basic economics, when supply exceeds demand, the price comes down. So like you're saying there were enough food, which means that, of course,
Ghana was not taxed to produce for West Africa. So if you say...
I'm not talking about West Africa, I'm talking about Ghana.
That's what I'm talking about, because the food that we produced, most of them went out. If you remember, some time ago, they banned food from crossing our borders. Why did they ban? Why did the government ban it? The government took note that people were pulling the food out. And they were not even going through the Bank of Ghana. They were not doing LCs. So you couldn't even capture the data. And you are not taxing it. We were just smuggling, like you did mention about the fertilizer. This is what happened to us. Unfortunately, that theft is not a great minister's work. So what can he do? This is why he's saying, look, give me the opportunity. Let me be president. Let me focus on agriculture because it's a productive sector of our economy. We have the competitive advantage. When we do so, we are going to be able to raise the necessary revenue. We get food security. The rest of the food we can export, we can get foreign exchange, and we don't need to go borrowing money every day.
Okay.
So that when the people you borrow the money from comes to ask for their money, you don't have the money.
Okay.
You don't have the money. 66 years of Ghana's independence, we are still borrowing money, and IMF has come in 17 times. Almost every 4 years, IMF is here. Why? Because we don't have the money to pay. The problem we have is not about funny ideas or big English words. It's about economy. Productivity must increase. And what are we going to produce? Food, agro-processing, industries. All the 1D, 1F, and Commander Sugar Factory, and all the challenge we have with some of these factories is just because of raw material. So he's saying, can we put some money there so that these factories can be up and running? It's going to give a lot of jobs. But who would better do this other than the person that has the qualification? Dr. Sophia Koto did Agric University of Ghana, went to Cambridge, Agric Economics, Masters, and PhD Agric Economics. He has the knowledge. He has spent 18 years working across the UN system and commodity markets. Came to Ghana as a member of parliament for Kwadaso. He was a ranking member for Food, Agriculture, and Cocoa Affairs. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo appointed the Minister of Agri. What did he do? He has shown the results. So he has the evidence that he can do it. This is what we need right now.
So what
is what we need right now.
What is his game plan for the party and for Ghana?
For the party, he says, after going around all this while with Nana Danko Akufo-Addo before the 2020 election, and when he was minister for 6 years, he would always visit, except for COVID, the regions. And party people are saying, we are not getting jobs. We are hungry. Come here. So it dawned on him that, what is happening? You see, this is why he says, let us put together a lot of companies for the party so that every constituency, every regional party, the national party will have companies. So that when these companies are open, a lot of them, all of the 275 constituencies will have companies open for them because there's going to be a business unit attached to the party. What this will do is that to create employment for the teeming youth of the party. This is the party. The excess of revenue or the profit you make will be used to finance party activity. You don't need to come to Accra to look for money to go to funeral over the weekend and give a donation because a party member lost a family member. You don't need to call Accra. Your constituency party company is working, and whatever money you are making is for service of constituency party. This is a big solution idea, but is this coming from the moon? No. Go to South Africa, ANC. They are doing the same. MTN, the one that we are using and making calls. Do you know they have shares in MTN? The political party ANC has shares in MTN. What is MPP waiting for? We're a capitalist party, enterprise party. So why don't we have even a pure water making company? We don't have any company. Why? So he says it's time. We've done a lot. Free SHS, free maternal care, NHI, all the things we have done, social, they are good. But right now, what we need is to solve the problem of the teeming youth. You know, we tried NAPCO, employing 100,000 people. Great idea. Where is it? It's not sustainable. But what we are discussing, we eat food every day. Every day. So it's sustainable. Create the companies, get into agriculture, and let's move Ghana forward. This is what he's saying. And this is what the delegates are asking the question. Where were these ideas? This is so wonderful. We want to go with you. So a lot of endorsements are coming in recent times because people are beginning to understand. This is why I'm saying that it didn't need noise because the message is deep and you needed to have conversation. People will ask us, when you bring the idea like, what kind of idea is this? You begin to explain this. Oh, so where have you been? You see, but God's time is the best.
But where have you been?
I trust.
That doesn't mean that you didn't start the campaign early.
No, when
if they ask you where have you been?
When they ask where have you been, it means that they've suffered.
They need you.
And they needed such a person like yesterday. But we are saying, never mind. God's time is the best.
So how confident are you of winning the flag bearers? I mean, also, first of all, you are now going for the to select 5. How confident are you of being part of the first 5?
The delegates for this election are saying that they want solutions. They are not here to rent out a party to anybody. They are not here to sell out their party. They want real solutions because when the party gets the solutions, the people are energized. Then there is hope. They can campaign and we can break the 8. And they want somebody that has solution for Ghana's problem. Many people are saying, oh, when we finish the primaries, before they will come up with their vision for Ghana. Many people. Some of the aspirants, honestly, I have followed. I can't even remember what exactly is their vision for Ghana. They said when you flag, Dr. Couture has already put forward the proposition, and he gives the example of the Tree Crop Development Authority, and says, look, this is just one institution I'm giving. There are 5 of that. You mentioned poultry. He has proposed Poultry Development Authority, and this is with cabinet as we speak. If these things are done, that industry will be protected. So do we be financed with public funds?
Do we need the authority for the poultry industry to thrive? I mean, the poultry has thrived before when we didn't have an authority.
Very much so. Very much so.
How so?
If you are producing poultry in Ghana and it costs you X amount, and somebody is producing in this country and is supported with public funds, and they bring it, and it's cheaper than the one you are producing, don't you think you'll be wiped out? This is the problem we have because there's so much import of poultry products. But the local poultry manufacturing, poultry production doesn't have public support. So if you have an institution like Poultry Development Authority, the like of Cocoa Board, this is what he used to explain it, Cocoa Board, for many years, you protect that turf, you finance it, you develop it, you research it. Before you know, we are producing enough birds, enough eggs, and we'll export excess at very competitive prices. That will bring us foreign exchange.
So you're saying that
this conversation is deep and it's heavy.
So the lack of the development authority for poultry is the reason why government cannot support the industry to grow?
Government will need a vehicle to support industries. There has to be a vehicle. And this type of conversation we are having, you don't want a 9-day wonder. You come in, you support poultry, you leave, it collapses. No. So he says, let's do an authority. You go to cabinet, you get approval, you go to parliament, like the Tree Crop Development Authority. You let, just some few weeks ago, World Bank gave $200 million US. Why? Because it's an institution. If it's an institution, money will be put there, and it will be consistent, it will be sustainable. You don't want something that you start today, when you leave, collapse. It's gone. That's the kind of conversation we are having. This is deep, and this is heavy. It's well thought through. And this is what is going to solve our problem.
But he spent 6 years at the ministry. Why didn't he do it?
I give you the example of tree crop. The tree crop has been done, and now President Nanado has actually put up the board. They are working the offices in Kumasi.
I get it.
That's how come World Bank brought some money to support them. So it started, and I said, these are the ones that are with cabinet and so on and so forth. So he started the work,
no,
but it doesn't have the luxury of time.
I asked the question that he spent 6 good years at the ministry, and within the 6 years, he couldn't put up the development authority for the poultry, if that was the solution.
No, there were others, so he prioritized them. So like I've told you, we started talking about planting this cashew, mango, coconut, and stuff like that. I was a former DC for Kachinov. So we did all these things. But the way we're doing it, it will not be sustainable. That's why he says, let's institutionalize it. Because even government funding for it was very scanty and difficult. You see how they go to cabinet meeting, everybody is pulling the budget. Very difficult. But if it's an institution, like what he has done for the tree crops, it will survive the test of time. And nobody's going to build Rome in a day. Rome was not built in a day. So he started it, and he's laid the foundation. That's the conversation. So he needs the opportunity to be president to focus some public funds to the productive sector of our economy, which will drive industry. Because once the raw materials are there, agro-processing will be hyped, the industries are coming up, all manner of persons, including white-collar trained people like ourselves, will get job to do. Then services will rake in, because if people don't have the money, how are they going to have money to do services, to buy things and take services and pay fees and stuff like that? Even the communication, data, credit, if you don't have money, what are you going to do? It will all go down. We need the productive sector to work. We have the land, we have the water bodies, we are good to go.
You seem to believe that you have what it takes to win this, but all the researches that have come out, you know, it's Dr. Baumia, Alan Chermantin, Kennedy, Japan. I mean, you are not even in the first three.
The pollsters are doing their job, you see, and I have no qualms about that. When the people make the most noise, they get heard. Everybody knows them. But when you have painstakingly going down and talking to the people and explaining the challenge of our party and the challenge of our economy and how you want to solve it, you don't have time for noise making. Noise doesn't vote. Delegates vote. That is what I believe. And we wait to see how it turns out. As for pollsters, I don't have any problem about them. When pollsters did post the polls about Asino, we saw what happened. They said, oh, MPP is winning, MPP is winning.
Why you lost it?
Young girls were dancing in video and say, if eating a deal music I enter my woman. We saw that. I didn't say anything.
So you think that's
when
that happened on Saturday?
When posters said that John Bodo, a very good friend of mine, is going to win the general secretary. What happened? JFK emerged. Was JFK making noise about something? We wouldn't even believe. But he is the general secretary of the party. So this is the kind of conversation we're having. We don't believe that noise votes, delegates vote. All
right then. So on Saturday, where will you place?
From what we've heard and from the assurance of the delegates, we are expecting to top the list on Saturday.
Be the first?
Yes, it's necessary we have to top the list because if our message has gone down well and they've understood and the assurance they've given us is true, why are we not first?
You don't fear delegates?
No. These are party people. These are people in pain. These are people who are complaining. And they want solutions. Somebody has brought the solution. You think they're going to take some 100 CD or some money and go and waste the next 4 years? Isn't that what they're going to do? I don't believe so. And these are not ordinary persons. These are leadership of the party.
So
from constituency chairmanship to regional executive to national executive council members. These are serious people.
So John was talking about the same people when he said fear delegates.
I have no clue what kind of message he gave them, but I'm speaking to what I've seen and heard, that this messaging was appropriate, and it solved the very problem they are complaining about. I trust that they will deliver.
All right, okay. So on Saturday, the Dr. Efria Koto believes that they will come at tops when the voting, ends on, I think it's around 1 p.m.
1 o'clock. Right? 1 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, we should know that.
We should know the score. Yeah. I'll call you and then we'll talk about it.
I'll be in a collation center, so I'll be knowing the result. I'll give it to you.
I'll call you. All right, so that's Dr. Prince Owusu. Amuzu, Dr. Prince Amuzu is a spokesperson for Dr. Owusu Efria Koto. Interesting conversation. Let's see how it goes on Saturday. But there's still the pause here on the Joy News. We'll take a quick break. But when we come, we'll take you to talk about the Niger crisis. Stay with us. Welcome back. On Monday, the National Road Safety Authority announced new road safety statistics for the year 2022. And despite reduced crashes and death, the authority said crashes remain a major challenge for the country. Now, it means that all effort must be made by not just the National Road Safety Authority, but civil society and campaigners as well. One of them is the Accident Victim Support Ghana, and we have the officials with us in studio. We have Olivia Mamle Obuabeng. Okay, she's the Vice President, Accident Victim Support Ghana, and Reverend Cyril Crab Benedict. Okay, so Reverend is also here. Let's compare the traffic situation in Ghana and US, because I think Reverend, one of you is in the States, right? So we do the two. You are. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. So if you compare how we do deal with traffic situations or accident situations in Ghana and the US, what's the difference? What are we not doing right in Ghana?
I think one of the things that I found a bit appalling was having zebra crossings in what we called highways. Now, over there, zebra crossings, or what we call crosswalks, don't have any business on the highways. Nobody is crossing on the highways. So really, I understand the infrastructure is not obviously as good as over there, but what are the highways? Which ones are the highways and which ones are the local roads? They have these zebra crossings which are almost faded out, and they are saying people should stand there. Mind you, these are like almost like 5 miles apart. They don't have it so close together.
Is it a Ghana version or this is
US? Yes, this is here. They don't have it so close together, and they want people to stand there to cross the roads. And these are high, what we call highways, right? And people come there to stand, but the cars are not stopping because it's a highway. There's a 50 kilometer per hour,
exactly,
and the cars are zooming through, and you expect them to stop because there's a crosswalk or there's a zebra crossing, and that's not how it should be. Are we able to put overpasses? Are we able to put maybe lights there where the lights can change for people to actually cross? because otherwise then, you know, the crashes will continue to happen. So that's probably one of the things that I found to be very, very disturbing here. Again, we come back to the potholes, or what we call now the manholes, right? The streets are bad. They are horrible. And I think when it rains, it gets even worse. That's probably another thing that I saw here. Obviously, like I said, you can never compare here to there, but we need to work towards it. And I think it's something that we can achieve if we are putting our minds together.
Unfortunately, in our case, our highways are running through towns.
Yes.
I'm not sure in US highways run through towns.
No, they don't.
That's the major thing. So how do we balance the two? Unfortunately, our highways are running through town. So what do we do?
And that's what I'm saying. So make the overpasses. If you want people to actually follow the crosswalk, don't make them so far apart where they have to ignore the crosswalk and then just cross. Put them close together, or make the overpasses, or put lights at certain places where it can change at some point, because these drivers are not stopping. We've gone through so many places, so many, you know, towns, and it's the same thing. Nobody's stopping for them to. It's only when they don't see the car coming, then, you know, they approach. Otherwise, they are standing for, you know, a very long time.
Reverend, so for you Mamley thinks that we have to have crossroads. Fantastic. We know that in Ghana we'll complain about resources. We don't have it. In the meantime, what can we do to reduce these deaths?
Thank you very much. This is the first time meeting you. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
You're doing a great job. Let me first and foremost commend your outfit, Multimedia, for coming up with programs yearly that is focused on the road. And remember Arrive Alive and other ones. And now today we have a Drive Safe. Exactly. I believe next year you are coming with another ambitious, you know, theme that would also help to compel stakeholders of the roads to be up and doing. And so kudos to you for what you are doing. I also want to greet your cherished viewers who are currently anxiously looking at us, because we have been campaigning, you know, on this, that speed kills. And we are saying that be patient on the road, meaning that every accident that occurs on the road, you know, because there is an iota of speeding in it, we have people dying and we have properties being damaged, you know. So if we can reduce our speed, you know, we can be able to tell the driver to know the limit or the legal speed to go at every given time on the road. It will help, you know, to suffice these crashes that are happening. And so that's what we are championing this year, and by the grace of God, we've come very far. Well, I have lived here, and I'm here. I've not been in the US before. But by virtue of the work that I do, I follow other road safety institutions across the country. And I think that most of our people out there travels. And when they travel, they see, you know, what is done there, which is helping road users to have easy flow, which is helping motorists or pedestrian passengers, cyclists, you know, to have that kind of life-saving activity on the road. Unfortunately, when they come down here, they don't even advise on that. Like she's saying, you know, and all you rightly corrected her. Over there, highways are not within town.
I didn't correct her, I only suggested.
Suggested. Yes, highways are behind, you know, so that does not interfere with human activity. Or else they do another alternative that does not even injure or create a risk, you know, for people. But here, everything that we do, let me so say, it's like it's a risk to the user. You know, everything that we are doing, it becomes a burden on the user. And so if we can at least compare, contrast, and be able to, you know, adjust the situation, it is really going to help. I have decided that I'm going to travel across the country and then talk to other road safety, you know, institutions to see how best I can influence policies, you know, over here compared to what is done there, which I believe that the UN Decade of Action 2020, hoping that the crash will be reduced to 50%. By doing so, we are going to at least meet that target, and it's going to help. Accident victim support think that partnering with the National Road Safety Authority, who are doing very good and extremely good. Partnering with them, it would help augment, the situation, because having 15,000 people getting injured at every year, getting at least less than 3,000 people dying at the end of the year. Some are not even giving compensations. Some are not giving any kind of befitting burial. Some are not even treated well at all, and their families keep on calling and crying and wailing. They are human beings like us. We think that we must do something about it. And let me quickly state that from last week till today, I enjoy the way the entire country have taken it up, that is being discussed across the media. I heard one of our brother, who is a media, a blogger, influencer, taking it up also, doing it. We did the Save to Safety Child Road Safety campaign. It was focused on a zebra crossing and how children can cross the road. We planted lollipop stands across schools. We have children in Oti region who were killed on the road just like that. 6 children. And where they were, there is nothing like a road furniture, even for them. There was no zebra crossing. There was no exactly, none of them. Even what will aid the children to cross, which is the lollipop stands, it was not there. So we did. And what I'm saying is that I am enjoying the way we are discussing road safety. John Todd, who is the UN Special Envoy, said that road crashes in the US is the same road crashes in here. So until opinion leaders, until presidents, politicians take it up, until religious leaders take it up and talk about it, we will still be at where we are. We wouldn't have, any kind of impact. And so we have decided that at least we'll get closer to the opinion leaders, religious leaders, political leaders, to add their voices to it. We believe that the masses that follows them will also enjoy it.
Mamle, what do you want to see change about our efforts in the next 1 minute?
I want to see better roads. Absolutely. I want to see better roads. I come almost every year, and it's the same thing every year. And to the point where you come and a road is done, and the following year when you come,
gone bad.
It's gone bad. What is happening?
When you see it, what comes to your mind?
I ask myself what kinds of things were put into, making this road, because I'm not saying our roads are perfect where we are coming from, but they are good enough to get you from point A to B. If it's supposed to take you 5 minutes, it will take you 5 minutes. Not when you're going from point A to B and there's absolutely no traffic and you're still taking an hour for a journey that has to be only 5 or 15 minutes. So that's one thing that I want to see done on the roads. I also want to, see people coming onto our team, joining us to help these victims. We see these things firsthand. We visit the hospitals, we visit their homes, and people are suffering and they need help. We've been doing it for the past 10 years. We've been underground at least 4 or 5 years before, all this exposure. But we've been doing a lot, and we've been visiting families and offering support. But now we need help. We do need help.
Financial?
Yes, financial help, material help, whatever help you can give.
Reverend, how does someone who is willing to help get in contact?
Okay, thank you very much.
Do this for me in 30 seconds. My time is up.
30 seconds. Wow. You didn't want me to talk much, but I want to still emphasize that speed kills. And so be patient on the road, and that will help. If anyone wants to help us support victims, we have our office opposite AMSA, Sakaman, AMSA filling station, just opposite. And you can call us on 0505 150 822, 0505 150 822. And we really want corporate Ghana to come to our aid. Let me state here once again, we are badly in need of a car for our operations. So we are calling anybody who can give us a branded car that can help us. We travel across the 16 regions. And so if we have this car, it will facilitate the work that we are doing.
Okay, thank you so much. Reverend Cyril Crab Benedict and Olivia Mamle Obuabeng. Obuabang. Obuabang. Why?
With the bang, no, Ada.
Ada. Oh, Obuabang. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for coming through today with the Accident Victim Support Ghana. And That's how we wrap up the whole show for you, and it's been a pleasure to come your way with the Pulse this afternoon. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. Now, on behalf of the entire team, I mean, the director, the producer, the cameraman, the sound guys, I mean, everybody here, we say thank you so much for being a part of us. We'll meet again, God willing, tomorrow.